Attackers don't start by breaking in, they start by learning everything they possibly can about you. To show how that works, we've staged a conversation with a hacker. A quick, important note: this hacker is a fictional composite, not a real person. And this isn't a real interview. But every technique described is exactly how real intrusions unfold. And for each one, we'll show you the defense. The reporter sits down with our composite hacker, a character built from real world intrusion techniques. There are two phases to keep in mind: reconnaissance from the outside, learning about you without touching you, and then, after a break in, escalation and pivoting on the inside. For every move the attacker makes, we'll pair it with how a sysadmin, DevOps, or security engineer stops it. The reporter starts at the beginning. You don't attack on day one, do you?
Never. Most of the work is reconnaissance, quietly learning the people, the technology, and the partners. And early on, it's completely passive. Nothing that ever touches your systems, so there's nothing to detect. A clear picture means, when the time comes, I only have to knock once, on the weakest door. The defense: assume you're being studied. Run your own open source intelligence review to see exactly what an outsider sees, and teach staff that what's public about the company is attacker fuel.
So, what are you looking for on social media?
Everything. Employees' profiles reveal their roles, hobbies, opinions, and check-ins. Company pages broadcast news, events, new offices, and who they're hiring. And shared mailboxes, HR at, careers at, invoices at, are gold. All of it feeds spear phishing that sounds exactly right. To defend, train people about oversharing, both at work and personally. Limit and monitor what shared mailboxes expose, and lock down who can post as the company. Your team's holiday photos tell me who they trust and how to sound like them.
Do you go after executives specifically?
Absolutely. I map the C-level from LinkedIn and the company website, then I identify their direct reports and assistants and learns the reporting lines. Who can authorize what? That powers whaling and business email compromise. The CEO needs this paid today. The defense: train leaders and crucially their assistants who are the real targets. Verify every urgent or payment request through a second channel, and keep org charts and executive details off the public site. I don't fish the CEO. I fish the person who can't say no to the CEO.
How do you work out what technology a company runs from the outside?
Easily, you tell me. Job ads and CVs leak your stack. Must know Fortinet, must know SAP. Vendor case studies and trusted by logos confirm it. Conference talks, public GitHub repos, and support forum posts fill in the rest. And mapping your third-party vendors opens a supply chain way in. To defend, sanitize job ads to skills, not exact products and versions. Review any vendor case study that names you as a customer, and govern third parties with least privilege access. Your own marketing tells me your firewall brand.
What about the technical footprint, DNS, domains, addresses?
I use passive DNS to enumerate subdomains, subsidiaries, and IP ranges, and scrape the corporate site for emails, phone numbers, and login portals. The real prizes are forgotten subdomains: vpn dot, dev dot, legacy dot, test dot, things you put online and forgot. All of it builds a full external map without sending you a single packet. To defend, keep an asset and DNS inventory so you know your own edge. Decommission forgotten subdomains and dev sites facing the internet, and reduce the data on public pages. Companies forget half the things they've exposed. I don't.
Beyond your own website, what other public data helps you?
Old data breaches. There are huge dumps of leaked passwords, and people reuse them. So a password your employee used on some hobby site years ago may still unlock their corporate login today. Certificate transparency logs, which publicly record every SSL certificate issued, quietly reveal subdomains you thought were private. And I harvest and validate real email addresses to build my target list. The defense: MFA everywhere, so a leaked password alone isn't enough. Block known breached passwords and force a reset when one is exposed. And monitor certificate transparency logs, treating every certificate and subdomain as inventory you must know about.
You mentioned tools that scan the whole internet.
Shodan and Census have already indexed your exposed services, so I just search their data. I never scan you, it's completely silent. I find exposed remote desktop, databases, cameras, and old VPN appliances, and that becomes my external attack surface shortlist. The defense is to monitor your own footprint on those same tools. Nothing administrative or legacy should ever face the internet, and attack surface management lets you find the exposure before they do. Someone already scanned the whole internet for me. I just read the results.
Eventually, you have to actually touch us. How, without tripping alarms?
Light, low, and slow scans that blend into normal traffic. I map open ports and service versions, and I note where the intrusion prevention system or web application firewall sits. I probe VPN endpoints and API gateways for known vulnerabilities. Then I pick one soft target, a single point of break-in. The defense: patch and harden internet-facing services first. Tune your IPS and WF and alert on slow distributed scanning, and put MFA on every VPN and remote gateway. I don't need 10 ways in, I need one, and you only need to miss one.
So all that recon eventually has to become a break-in. How does the foothold actually happen?
3 main ways. I spearfish someone with a macro or a malicious attachment, or I exploit that one unpatched internet-facing service I found. Or easiest of all, I just log in, with credentials I bought or pulled from a breach dump. Honestly, valid credentials are my favorite. No exploit, no alarm, I just walk in the front door. The defense? Patch internet-facing systems fast and shrink the exposure, put phishing-resistant MFA on every external login, filter email and block macros, and alert on logins from new devices or impossible travel locations.
But surely MFA stops you cold?
Not as often as you'd hope. With adversary in the middle phishing, I proxy your real login and steal the session token the moment you approve. Or I use MFA fatigue, spamming push prompts until someone, tired and annoyed, just taps approve. I can SIM swap to intercept an SMS code, or steal a session cookie and skip the login entirely. The defense is the important part. Use phishing-resistant MFA, FIDO2 security keys or passkeys, not SMS or push. Turn on number matching, cap push attempts, and alert on MFA spam, and keep sessions short. Most MFA just moves the lock. Phishing-resistant MFA actually changes it.
Now we cross into the inside. Say you get a foothold on one server. What's the first thing you do?
I loot it. Config files, .env files, source code, command history. I hunt for hard-coded passwords and API keys and scripts, and I enumerate the local users and what they can reach. Because one plain-text credential is the key to the next system. The defense is everything from the secrets video, no secrets in code or scripts, use a vault, run least privilege, lock down config and key file permissions, and turn on credential access alerting. The first server is rarely the prize. It's where I find the keys to the prize.
You land as a low-privilege user. How do you become root or admin?
I check the easy wins: sudo rules, suid binaries, writable cron jobs, and unpatched kernel or service vulnerabilities. Automated tools surface the misconfiguration in seconds, and a low-privilege shell becomes full control of the host. To defend, keep sudo tight, audit suid binaries, lock down cron and file permissions, patch the operating system and services promptly, and alert on privilege escalation tooling. There's almost always one forgotten misconfiguration. I only need that one.
Now you're admin on a box. How do you harvest even more credentials?
Straight out of memory. On Windows, I dump the LSAS process to pull the password hashes and Kerberos tickets of everyone who's logged in. On Linux, I scrape memory, keyrings, and SSH agents. Then I crack weak admin and service account passwords offline. Anything short or simple falls fast. And if you've reused one local administrator password across machines, that single dump unlocks the whole fleet. The defense: turn on credential guard and LSASS protection, and let EDR alert on processes touching that memory. Give every machine a unique local admin password with laps and long passphrases, and use group-managed service accounts with least privilege. Why fish again when everyone who logged into this box left their keys in memory?
In a Windows environment, how do you go from one machine to owning everything?
Active Directory is the prize. I run Bloodhound, which maps the shortest path from where I am to domain admin. It's frighteningly effective. I Kerberos, requesting service account tickets and cracking the weak ones offline. I use NTLM relay and ASRep roasting to gather more credentials. And the endgame: if I steal the hash of the KRBTGT account, I forge a golden ticket and become anyone, with any privilege, almost invisibly. The defense: audit your own AD with Bloodhound first and cut excessive admin rights. Use group-managed or very long service account passwords. Disable LLMNR, sign SMB and LDAP, and rotate KRBTGT regularly. And protect your domain controllers above everything. One DC is the whole kingdom.
One server isn't the whole company. How do you spread?
I read the host's connections to see who it talks to, and I look for a dual-homed host, a machine with a second network card bridging two networks. I hijack it as a pivot to reach segments I supposedly couldn't, and quietly enumerate the newly visible servers. The defense actively hunt for dual-homed hosts and never bridge trust zones, segment the network, and enforce it at the firewall rather than trusting the subnet, and monitor internal east-west traffic, not just the perimeter. Your flat network is my highway. One foothold, and I'm everywhere.
Inside the network, how do you map it and grab more credentials?
A few classic tricks. First, I try a DNS zone transfer. If a DNS server is misconfigured, it'll hand me a complete map of your internal hosts in a single request. I poison local name resolution protocols, like LLMNR and NetBIOS, to capture credential hashes off the wire. I set up man-in-the-middle positions against users to grab credentials, tokens, and live sessions, and I sniff the segment for anything still using clear text protocols. The defense: restrict DNS zone transfers to authorized secondary servers only. Disable LLMNR and NetBIOS name service and enforce SMB signing, and segment and encrypt internal traffic while monitoring east-west movement. One misconfigured DNS server hands me your whole network map in a single request.
Once you can see more servers, how do you get into them?
With a slow password spray, one common password tried against many accounts, low and slow to avoid lockouts and detection. I reuse the credentials and hashes I looted from the first host and run light vulnerability scans on the newly reachable internal machines. The defense: strong, unique passwords and MFA on internal services too, not just the perimeter, alert on spray patterns, one source hitting many accounts, and use lockout policies and unique local admin passwords through something like LAPS. I won't try 1,000 passwords on one account. I'll try one password on 1,000 accounts.
You mentioned trust between servers. How is that exploited?
I map the trust relationships: API tokens, SFTP connections, SMB shares, service accounts. A breached application server very often has standing access to the database, so I simply replay its credentials and ride that trust onward. And service accounts are usually overprivileged and rarely watched. The defense: give every service account an integration least privilege, scope and rotate API keys, lock down shares by removing broad access like everyone, and monitor service account use for anything abnormal. Servers trust each other far more than they should. I just inherit that trust.
More and more of our estate is in the cloud now. Does that change your approach?
It just changes what I steal. Instead of a server, I hunt for a token. I grab OAuth tokens and session cookies to bypass the password entirely. From a foothold, I hit the cloud metadata endpoint, that 169.254 address, to lift IAM credentials. I abuse over-permissive roles to escalate inside the tenant, and I go after the identity provider itself, Entra ID, Okta, and any Federation trust. The defense: least privilege IAM with short-lived tokens, never long-lived keys, conditional access and phishing-resistant MFA on the identity provider, lock down the metadata service, and alert on token and role anomalies. On-prem I hunt for a server. In the cloud I hunt for a token. It's the new password.
Once you're in deep, how do you make sure you don't lose access?
Persistence. That's the whole game after the break-in. I plant a back door, a web shell, or a small implant so I can get back in. I quietly create a backup administrator account that looks legitimate. I add a scheduled task, a cron job, or a service so my access survives a reboot. And wherever possible, I abuse the legitimate remote access tools you already use so my activity blends in with normal IT. The defense: alert on every newly created account, scheduled task, service, and startup item. Baseline and monitor your remote access tooling. Actively hunt for web shells, and keep immutable, offline backups so you can always recover to a known good state. Getting in is the hard part. After that, I just make sure I can always come back.
How do you stay hidden through all of this?
I live off the land. I use your own built-in tools rather than malware. so your antivirus sees nothing unusual. I move slowly, with small actions buried inside normal activity. I avoid or clear logs, and I blend in with legitimate admin work. And I plant quiet persistence so I can always come back. The defense is behavioral, an EDR plus centralized tamper-proof logging, baselining what normal looks like and alerting on living off the land patterns, watching for new accounts, tasks, and services, and keeping offline backups. If you're only watching for malware, you'll never see me. I use what's already there.
Let's be honest about the ending. What's the actual goal of all this?
It depends on the payday, but it usually ends one of two ways: stolen data or ransomware, and increasingly both. I quietly stage and compress the data that matters, then exfiltrate it slowly over HTTPS, DNS, or cloud storage, so it blends into normal traffic. Then comes double extortion. I steal the data first, then encrypt it, and threaten to leak it unless you pay, so even good backups won't stop your secrets being published. The defense: egress filtering and data loss prevention with alerts on unusual outbound volume, immutable, offline, tested backups that survive ransomware, detection for mass file access and encryption, segmentation to limit the spread, and a rehearsed incident response and crisis comms plan. Encryption is just the loud part. By then, I've already had your data for weeks.
As the conversation closes, the reporter asks what defenders should take away.
Recon is the real first move, so shrink your external footprint. Keep no secrets in code. Put them in a vault. Patch and close the privilege escalation paths. Segment the network and kill dual-homed bridges. Put MFA and unique credentials everywhere, including internally. Give service accounts least privilege. And detect behavior, not just malware. Think in attack paths, because I need the entire chain to work, but you only need to break it once. Break a single link, and the whole intrusion falls apart.